Hello and welcome to another episode of Building Our World with me, Alex Bloisey. Now, I'm always looking to uncover these human stories behind human innovation. I want to speak to the brightest and the best in Berlin tech, and they don't come much brighter than this week's guest. Now, I was joined by Dragos Nedelcu, who is a LinkedIn big hitter and also the founder of his own software training institute, CodeWithDragos. Now, basically, he's on a mission to help software developers build their confidence and become highly paid experts. Now, who doesn't like the sound of that? I've followed Dragos for a while, and what's remarkable is that it started just as a side hustle. He would come home from his own software engineering job and help engineers looking to better themselves. This snowballed, and eventually he turned it into a full-time business. Basically, we go through this journey, this epiphany he had, how he has done it, and he also gives some hints on what is needed, especially in this day and age, to be a great software engineer. Now, he also brands himself brilliantly well. So if you are on LinkedIn and a software engineer, then I do encourage you to give him a follow. He really knows his stuff, and he's very poetic in how he markets himself. Quite clearly a talented person, and I'm so glad I got to pick his brains for an hour. But I'll let Dragos do some more talking now, but I really hope you enjoy this one as much as I did. Thank you. I wanted to start by basically asking, you're a software engineer in a pretty good company. You're a good software engineer. You could have gone up, and up, taken over these massive salaries, especially that we're seeing now. Recently, you started your own business. You left your job to coach and make software engineers even better. That seems like a pretty stressful move. So why on earth did you do that? How did this all come about?
So really good question, and it's a really relevant question, because just before leaving, I was offered a great compensation package, even equity, and the possibility to move into an architect position, maybe lead a team, and that was like September last year. But at the same time, the side, this business like CodeWithDragos, the company that I'm working on now, my own company, started as a side project. We had like 4 or 5 people, and it wasn't really, it was more like not even the proof of concept, I would say, was there. So it was definitely a tough decision, right? You have to choose between the stability of a job, and also the progression, right, as you mentioned, or going out in the wild. It was like pandemic situation, so I called my parents and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna quit in my job. They're like, what? Everybody wants a job and you just quit yours. But you have to, you got to do what you love, right? And I realized like most of my time I was spending it thinking about, how to help these people more. How can we, even if that was only 5 people, I was reading about software, how to improve, how to be better as a software engineer. And also, I think in a company, your ability to make a change, it's quite limited. It's limited to your team, it's limited to the company. But when you are, when you build a business around this, it's when you can really build a vehicle for making a change and for really having an impact. For me, actually, the decision was quite easy. It was one night. It just came to me. I need to quit my job. And the next day, I just sent a letter. I make decisions like that. I never regret. I think it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And, I'm still a software engineer. I love software. I still code. So I can always go back to writing code. I truly love that. But for now, I'm gonna give this baby a few years more at least.
Yeah, I was the same with when I started my business. Like you almost have like this epiphany where it just makes sense, and it just makes sense to you. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to anyone else, especially your family.
Hopefully to the customers, at least.
Yeah.
No, these are the only people.
Yeah, they're the people that matter. So bringing it back, like before that, when it was just like a side hustle, side project, how did that start? Because being a software engineer is pretty intense enough. So were you like just doing it like evenings and weekends? Did you just check people's work or have consultations? How did that dynamic start, and how did it sort of work in practice?
So as you know, I think it all started. So before starting to do this professionally, in 2000, I guess 2020. Yeah, I was pretty. I was at a good level in terms of career, and I decided to kind of engage more on LinkedIn, and I wanted to. At the beginning, it was pretty selfish. I wanted kind of to build a brand for myself. And that was, I think, good, but the reasons behind it were, just I want to, to write. I want to do something more than just writing code, right? And then it all kind of escalated really quickly. People were asking me for advice, and then I said, hey, I can actually professionalize this. I can turn this into something. I never expected to go full time back then. I was just, this is an opportunity to learn some new skills, working with people. I didn't manage a lot of people in the past, so I was like, hey, this could be a good opportunity to learn some management skills, how to coach people. And I would never, honestly, I'm not I'm a software engineer. I was really working with a computer all the time. I'm not a people's person, so I'll never. I talk to coach. It's a psychologist, like this coaching stuff. What this is, but you're actually a consultant for people, right? And it started pretty rough. I remember, we were my brother started helping me pretty early, and we were like waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, serving the customers until 9, then starting my job as a software engineer, and then back in the evenings, 7 days a week. And it was fine because many of our customers were moms, and they have to wake up before the kids wake up. But it truly, I sometimes look back to September, and I'm asking, I don't know what kept us going, because the customers were not there, everything was breaking. We had like little customers and the jobs, so the pressure was quite huge, to be honest. I don't think it's something you can do for a long time, because you're in a job where your mind is not on the job, your body is there, but your mind is not there, and it's a really painful process, I would say, where you are like stuck between two things. One thing that I learned, and this is also for software engineers, I know this is a huge problem, it's the power of focus. So back then I was doing like 5 projects at the same time. I was like in the mentoring club, I don't know if you know it. I was like doing some non-profit stuff. I was like blogging, and what I did is to really cut things off and really focus on 1 or 2 things that I can really do better, and that really help with the pressure. And then only one. The challenge is to pick one thing. And as you probably see, I'm not doing a lot of YouTube. I'm not doing a lot of Twitter. It's mostly like LinkedIn. After a year, I still stayed with the same thing, helping the same customers. Yeah.
How much did this like organic, when you were still in your job, how much did this like organic work, like people coming to you, how much did this come as a result of your LinkedIn posts? Because you're very consistent. Your messaging is very sort of bang on. It's something I do as well. Did you notice like an uplift whilst doing this?
100%. So the whole thing started with LinkedIn. And as you say, I think one of the challenges, especially when you start producing content, and especially in software development, it's and I see many influencers do this. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's staying too much on LinkedIn, right? And I tried to be like, to understand, what can I say? Whatever I say has to be my opinion. It has to be something that can help other people, and also be passionate, not about the likes, not about the impact, but about the content. And I think after a while, people can smell that, and people, I still get a lot of messages like, hey, I appreciate the fact that you're direct and you say things how they are. And this is the spirit that we try to have at CodeWithDragos in everything we do, and 100%. So until now, we are past. We are doing quite well in revenue. We didn't get any customer with paid advertising. So all of our, I think 99%, I would say 95% of our customers came to LinkedIn. Sometimes it's us reaching out to them. Sometimes they reach out to us directly and they sign up on the website, but it's all organic.
Yeah.
So 100%.
People underestimate so much. Like obviously when I set up my business, posting on LinkedIn is free. It's amazing because it's free. People see your name, they see what you do. You can get your message out there. With my stuff, it obviously, so I basically came from like a sales background where branding, content creation didn't even exist. It wasn't a thing. Like we were taught phone calls, emails, messages, outbound stuff. So I've kind of had to really kind of switch my mindset, and I'm still kind of working it out. But for anyone listening, and I think Dragos is an amazing example of this. But yeah, if you are consistent, especially with the LinkedIn post, consistent with your messaging and your branding, like things just happen, just people just come to you. And I've noticed it, especially in the past 6 months, like my best clients have all been just inbound, and that is the best business.
Yeah, I think, but the experience that you have, probably it's also healthy. So maybe a combination of both, like inbound and outbound, whenever you can, right, to really move forward. But also, like, it's a good opportunity to see what people are thinking. Software developers, in your case, like companies, they are on LinkedIn, right? They are all out there. And I think social media, like if you are able to filter out the noise, there's a lot of noise, but if you're able to filter out the noise, it's an opportunity to understand what people want and to build it, right? And I think as a software engineer and as a business owner, you have to keep your eyes open there and understand what they're talking about. How can I serve these people better, right? So definitely, and you mentioned consistency. I think the number one key to success, both as a software engineer and as a business owner, it's consistency. Yeah, pick one thing that you can commit for a full year, right? And do it and do it and do it. And I had posts that were, I don't know, 5 likes, and 2 of them it's like your brother and your sister. And then I had posts that had 500,000, 500,000 views, right? And you shouldn't be like optimizing for that, but just stay true to your values. Understand how can I help people, and post every single week. Yeah. And if you go on vacation, just make sure you prepare for that too.
Yeah. Do you do like the scheduled posts on like Buffer or something?
Yeah, of course. You have to prepare. To be honest, sometimes I miss them. I'm also guilty of procrastination, as everyone.
Yeah. What would you say? I mean, the optimum amount of times to post on LinkedIn a week?
I guess it depends. Don't get too distracted. So I think I'm doing at least once a day, something once a day. It really depends on you. Also, what I see in software engineers right now, like the average software engineers, everybody wants to be an influencer. Everyone is kind of starting to post, and I tend to disagree with that because it's easy to get distracted in this social media vacuum. And also, if you're a software engineer, you are paid for. You're not an influencer, so they want to hire a great engineer, and a good engineer is connected. Yeah, of course, that's part of like being connected, having a network. That's totally fine, but you gotta put that time in, brushing up your skills, your data search skills, your system design skills. So if it really depends on your goals, right? That's what I would say. I even as a most of my time is not on social media, so I think I spend around maybe 20 minutes a day, max 40 minutes, right? I go there, I see, I talk to the people I want to, and then I go back because it's so easy to get distracted. There's a lot of noise, and if you build, I don't know, your career, if you build software or if you build like a company, like in our case, your focus should be serving those customers and building, creating value, right? More than just promoting all the time, which is part of the job. But you gotta understand why you are in business.
Yeah,
you're not in business to be on LinkedIn. That was a lesson for me also, because you get kind of hooked at the beginning.
Absolutely. It's not likes on a LinkedIn post don't pay the bills, and obviously there's like a correlation, but you shouldn't like obsess over it. It's such a small part of things, but it definitely helps sort of elevate the platform. So with these software engineers you have in the program now, so obviously I help companies find software engineers. Some do amazing in interviews, some don't. What do you think? What have you seen that software engineers are really lacking or struggling on to not be able to get that job they want? Is there any like common themes that you work with your program?
Yeah, so there are definitely commonalities. There are commonalities between software engineers regardless of the stack. There are areas that people struggle with. One of them would be algorithms, right, or data structures, code challenges, right. That's always something that people struggle with. Then maybe architecture, also grasping a feeling of software architecture, not architect level. Those are things that software engineers struggle with, and they know they struggle with. And after that, there are things that software engineers struggle with, but they are just not aware of it. Like, for example, their professional image. One of the things that people come to us because they want to be technical experts, because they want to learn a bit more about cloud. They want to learn a bit more about, I don't know, HTTP caching. Yeah, pick the topic. And what we do is 80% technical skills, but there's a lot also 20% in how they sell themselves. Software engineers are not used to negotiate. They are not used to basically, just selling things that in other business domains are probably normal, like negotiating, like talking about money. Yeah, it's so hard for them to talk openly about money. I guess it's also because of as a sector, we know we have this tech, everything is free, just contribute and help others. And I think that's all fine, but you got to be careful with that mindset because we are all professionals. Yeah, so in the end, and you've probably seen it on LinkedIn, but I'm not a fan of I code for like the weekends anymore. I don't think anyone that's been in the industry for like more than 10 years, it's like, willing to crank the keyboard on the weekend. Of course, if there is something special, yeah, but I'm no Steve Wozniak, correct? And I guess mindset is one of the biggest things that people lack, and they are not aware of it, both in how to sell themselves, also resilience, also being more a consultant, understanding, hey, what is your really role in the company as a software engineer? People talk about communication skills and soft skills are important, but that's just too generic, right? So they have to really understand, this is a company, I'm a software engineer, I produce software, these are the people that I can serve the best, this is the market, and have this broader view, right? That's one of the things that people are not aware. They come to us and they're like, no, I just, I'm underpaid and I want to make more, or I'm just struggling with architecture and microservices. And to be honest, if you're making £30,000, your problem is not microservices. It's not Kubernetes. That's a 60K problem. That's a 70K problem. Yeah, your problem is probably, deep down, like proper CV, the basics in terms of building applications, right?
So when it comes to like obviously brushing up on these skills and people obviously need to do this, but you touched on it there. Why is software engineering, there's like this obsession or this like perception that you have to like be obsessed with it. You have to absolutely love it. You have to finish your work. And then in the evenings, you have to build your own pet project. And that's like a good thing. Like you don't see this really in any other industry. And you see companies who like want this, or they want like an active GitHub. They want someone who's built like an application at the weekend. Why is it like this? It's not healthy, I don't think.
I think this is the madness of the crowds. And I'll tell you why. It's pretty funny. So I think I counted actually last week. I spoke to over 6,000 engineers one-to-one on LinkedIn in one-to-one conversation, and that's like 6,000 based in Europe. Yeah, that's all my follower base. It's really taken care of. So it's mostly people that we talk to, that we interacted with. And you will see that, our sector is pretty young. Our sector, I think I was looking in Stack Overflow, the average age for software engineers in general, it's 31 years old. And I think 70% are under 28, right? So if you look at the maturity of these people as professionals, right, we are really a young sector. And that means they tolerate certain things that, other professions would not, right? And that's one of them is, the fact that after my job, I can, code on something, or I can hack hack something, right? And people they say this to the companies think, hey, those are good candidates, and they propagate this. And there is this cycle, right? The companies love that messaging. If you say you are looking for, flexible hours, and someone comes and is like, no, I hack on the weekend, then they definitely look like the preferred ones. But you will also see that companies with more mature engineering cultures, companies that employ people that have families, that's definitely a no-go, right? And this is really not healthy. I have people on the program, and this is a real one. It doesn't happen only once, where the software engineers at their companies are pushing code at 11 o'clock in the night. And the managers should definitely forbid this, because the job should not invade your personal space. Right? Imagine the stress. And again, it's because people are young. Because I would not be able to work in a company for 3 years or 2 years pushing code at 1 o'clock. I mean, that would be definitely a no-go. I would burn out, no matter how experienced I am. And I think the more experience you get, the more little patience you have with these things. But again, I think it's because the sector it's pretty young, and young people don't value their time as much as other people, and also they don't question that much. Like they don't understand. Hey, actually, this is, they've been coding for 3 years, but when you've been coding for 10, you're like, hey, I'm done with this. I mean, I've been doing this when I was 20, and software, it's a long term, like a career, a software project. It's something that you will get done in the long term. It's just a way to burn out. But again, I'm a bit of a contrarian on that side. I know many people would disagree. Oh, you don't code on the weekends. This was one of the most viral posts that I've done. It really exploded, and I think the ecosystem right now, it's understanding. Like the software industry, it's understanding. Hey, we need some boundaries, but it's gonna take time.
Yeah. It's just so. I mean, in terms of like coding, like late at night and stuff. But in any job you do, I mean, I was the same. Like when I was freshly graduated, I think back, and you just don't know how you do it. Like you almost like running on adrenaline, because it's just so new to you, and you just do it because you have to. And I suppose when you're young, you can I mean, I'm still 26, but when I was like 21, yeah. But,
same here.
Yeah.
But in the end, you do a bunch of crap, because without guidance, and I think that's what young people need. They need mentoring from the managers and just good direction. So they get that energy and they put it in the right place, rather than just hacking on the weekend or debugging some. And you don't even know. Young software engineers, they can spend 3 days on something that's freaking trivial if they would just have a bit more of a process. A bit more of being methodic about what they do, right? And that's what you gain with seniority also.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the problem of productivity, I think, is a massive issue across software engineering, but just the general kind of work culture at the moment. I don't know whether it's come from the Silicon Valley sort of hustle or American style kind of working culture, but especially fresh out of uni, there was a perception that you had to just work all the time. Being busy was productive, and there was no kind of focus on efficiency and prioritizing the key tasks. And you see this on social media as well, where people are doing an Insta story or a post about working X hours a week and staying in the office till 11, 12 at night. I always think if you're doing that, there's a reason why you're telling people how late you're working.
I'm lucky to be based in Germany, and I think efficiency it's quite valued here, and also balance. In the startup scene, you're totally right. The startup scene in Berlin and in it tries to grow into Silicon Valley and kind of borrowing this sometimes. But I think valuing efficiency over efficiency and systems, that's definitely the way to go. And in software engineering, it's right now there's so much noise, right? There's so many libraries coming out, and I think it's easy to fall into this trap that it's impossible to keep up with all the trends, and I need to be coding all night, or learning GraphQL, and now Kubernetes, and now there is cloud, and I think that really comes from the lack of confidence. You don't have to. You just have to stay close to your basics, understand things really well, and get them as they come, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Fascinating. Interestingly, actually, I did a post last week about the downsides of being a software engineer, and because the perception, especially outside tech, if you're not in tech at all, or is the perception that you're a software engineer on a massive salary at a cool tech company with beer tap and all that sort of fresh fruit shit and whatever. And I asked, and there were a few key things that came up was you're constantly having to play catch up with technologies. All the time.
I don't know. I've been already in this for a few years, and I think after Yeah, but like it's easy to catch up once you have strong basics, right? So I think this is what people miss out. Like they are, they get so much anxiety of I don't know this and that because whenever a new library comes out, it's usually a remesh because the founder, like the people that create libraries and create like new software, they want to promote it, and they want to push it to the market, and they always sell it like the latest hot shit out there, and you have to learn this. But if you look at it, you'll see that they are basically reinventing the wheel. And you can look at like packages for doing stuff in the JavaScript world. There's like 4 or 5 packages for the same problem. And I'm like, why do we need 5 packages? I'm just going to pick one. The other ones I clearly don't care about. It's just the same crap. And there is this pressure to always be learning and to always be doing new things. But I know the best software engineers I know, like 12 years into the industry, they don't care. They know whatever comes up, they're gonna figure it out. They have a method, and that's what we are trying to teach and to coach people into, right? To building this intuition that the seniors have, where the problems are not anymore, the new Svelte, the new JavaScript library that comes around. That's not usually the biggest problem you are facing as a software engineer, right? And there are downsides. I think the idea that in tech you make a lot of money. To be honest, I see a lot of disequality in salaries, let's say. I see a lot of people being mostly underpaid. So my feeling after working with so many developers in the last year, and that's something like when I was an employee, I couldn't really have an overview of the salaries, but I don't think software engineers make a lot of money. I think they are mostly underpaid because there is no syndicate. They don't know how to negotiate, and the only way to make more money is to learn more technologies. That's the mindset that I need to learn more and do more, and that's how I will get paid more. And that's so far from the truth. So I think the average salary in Germany, it's if you say like software engineer average salary, it's like 47,000, which trust me, it's not
Really?
like everybody is say like the full average. If you take like the full average of every software engineer, you can just Google it. I think it was 47,000. Maybe I can check it again. That's junior plus senior, like
Yeah.
the whole
Okay.
average, right? But it's pretty low, right? Like you wouldn't think it's that low. I would expect 60, 70, but that's again, those are senior positions, more senior positions, lead positions. So to be honest, I don't think software engineers make a lot of money for the work they put and kind of the complexity of the job.
Well, it's so critical to a company code, and it's not like it's such a high barrier to entry. Like obviously there's boot camps and there's the stuff you do as well, but like it's a lot of effort. And I see one thing that I did because I used to recruit into London, and there was much more of an appetite to recruit graduates straight out of uni, like the good unis in like the Oxford, Cambridge, and the sort of top 10, 20 unis in the UK. And companies were fine to do that. When I started doing Berlin a few years ago, the main difference was like clients only ever gave me senior positions to fill. There's never been an interest. The client, literally never, a client has never come to me and said, right, we want to take on a junior guy, like entry level, like 1 year or something like that. How much of an issue is that in Germany, do you think?
I guess I understand both sides. So the thing is, the Berlin market is quite mature, right? Companies are quite big. You have like the big tech companies, Zalando, Delivery Hero, Klarna, right? All these big companies, they already have, the problems they're dealing with are quite big. They want people that are up to speed. I don't think AWS, like, let's think of a big American company like Twilio, I don't know, like AWS, Google. It's tough for them to hire people straight out of college unless you have like a structure in place, like a graduate program to train these people. And most companies don't, right? So I remember back in my employee days when I was talking to my managers, hey, why don't we hire any juniors? And he's like, yeah, because we have to train them. And I'm like, yeah, but we could train them. We have like plenty of senior engineers. Yes, but if these people are training them, they are not like building software. So we don't want you to spend time with them because you wouldn't be architecting the new application. So it's always a matter of culture, yes, resources. And I think candidates also, they play the game because, companies don't want to invest in people because, the average turnover, you probably know the number better, but I don't know how much on average does a software engineer sticks around.
It's every 2.4. The Berlin average is 2.4 years.
They stick around for,
it's probably got less now.
it's probably less, and so companies don't want to. I mean, most of my friends, I see things like 1 year and 2 months. So companies don't want to invest so much. Also, companies are young themselves. There are many startups around. They haven't been in business for a long time, so it's hard for them to think like more long term. Yeah, but the barrier of entry, I don't know if it's that high, So I see a lot of people want to get into tech these days. It's kind of the way to get into the middle class, right? It's the way to get a good salary, to get like a blue collar job, and the competition, especially at like junior and mid level, it's so tough. Yeah, so that's why people are hacking on the weekends. If it would be so easy, people would not be writing code on the weekends, right?
So if I'm like a junior, if I was the junior engineer listening, or mid or senior or whatever, I'm just lacking a bit of direction in my career. I'm not quite sure where to go, how to do it, what to upskill on. I'm just kind of plateaued, or I'm just a junior trying to break it. And I'm potentially thinking about signing up with you. What would this person get from the program? How does it work? And what are your sort of aims and goals with people who join the program?
So ideally, before joining the program, we have like a strategy session, like a consultation, where we see exactly if we can help them, right? So there are like specific profiles, like embedded developers. That's a bit tricky, but right now we have a lot of developers, JavaScript, Java, .NET, right? So ideally, we would first have like a strategy, a longer, after you sign up with us, right? The first session is a strategy, a longer like analysis and strategy session, where we understand in depth where you stand technically, what you've done in the other job, what are the skills you have, right? Then we do a bit of your ideal job. Where would that be, your ideal career, right? And we see, hey, where do you stand, where you want to go, and from where do you want to go, what the market wants to offer, and we try to analyze that gap, right? Once we find that gap, it's usually like there are some common elements, like API design, cloud, right? So we start building up on those skills, those technical skills, more in depth. And after that, we, of course, invest quite a lot in your professional image, right? So it's building the skills and selling them. If you do one, but you don't do the other, you won't be successful.
It's interesting you have so much emphasis on selling your skills. What do you mean by that in practice?
I think for software engineers, it comes down to being visible and being relevant. You've probably seen a lot of CVs, and wow, I'm writing CVs every day with software engineers, and it's just, first of all, it's so hard to understand what have you been doing. Like, no, I was just coding, just delivering in the sprint. Yeah, so it's hard for them to quantify exactly what they were doing, right? In a way that everybody can understand, and that's also technical enough, because we are software engineers. We get hired to write software, so you cannot be too business-wise about it. You're not a manager. You're not an investment banker. So really getting that experience and like put it into a way that a hiring manager can understand, that a technical architect can understand, and then just like building a LinkedIn profile and like asking accommodation, kind of taking care of your image professionally. Right? You don't need to build a brand. You don't need to blog. Okay, if you want to do that, that's totally fine. But it's just about being visible and being relevant to the companies you want to go for, and then you will see how you land a job, like jobs that people wouldn't even dream. They get interviews in 3 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, because recruiters are looking for something and companies are looking for something, and you have to show them that you have those skills in a way they can understand and move you forward. And then, of course, building the technical skills to pass the technical challenges and to actually be able to write software, which is what you're gonna, get hired for.
Absolutely. How much do you encourage people to like build up like a GitHub, or maybe for more junior people to pet projects, or is that a no-go?
No, zero. So I know this is another thing. Oh, build a GitHub. Or you see, and there's a lot of influencers, and I know I'm going against the current, because I saw things like, contribute to open source from people that are like YouTubers that never hold a senior position in any company. They've been coding for 1 year and then they started a YouTube channel. And that's nothing against that, but this thing of a GitHub, I mean, I've been we were hiring a lot of software engineers. Bogdan, my brother, he joined me in the company. He also, I think he interviewed 140 interviews in the last position, hired 32. And honestly, people don't freaking care. Yeah, not even an engineering manager. People think, I'm going to apply to a company and the engineering manager will take like 15 minutes to analyze my portfolio and my GitHub it's far from the truth. They just look at your CV. I mean, these people, they have a lot of things going on, even the recruiters. They look at it. Is it relevant? Okay, come in. I wouldn't care that much about the GitHub. It's a nice thing to have. Maybe it increases your confidence and ego. If you can, it's an easy win. Yeah. But I wouldn't, I would rather go into the market, see what skills I'm missing and build those skills instead of just copy pasting code on my GitHub profile.
Okay. How long does it take for people in your program to land a job?
It depends, right? So on average, the people that we get on the program, they end up getting 20K more than what they're normally doing. Yeah, wow. 20,000. That's the average increase. And it takes around 6 to 12 weeks. Yeah, the sooner that we got was 6 weeks. And that was a junior engineer that, he had to go back to his he wasn't coding software. He was somebody coming from construction industry, actually in London. He signed up. He was like, he totally gave up on this thing. Like he did a boot camp, then he was coding a lot, didn't get the job. Signed up with us, and in 6 weeks he landed a job. 35,000, which is more than many juniors in London. Yes. And for more experienced people, I think even less. But our focus is not only the job. So if our focus would be purely the job, I don't know, it would take around 4 to 6 weeks to get a good offer. But we also want to build the skills, these technical skills. So API design, architecture, cloud. So that's why we say around 6 to 12 weeks. Because you don't only need the job, but you need to build a career. You need the technical skills.
It's interesting you say, so do you focus on those three fundamentals, or API design, architecture, cloud?
Those are three of them, yeah. API design, architecture, cloud, and then comes the debugging, right? So many like building processes around your skills as an engineer. Yeah, those are three things that we go really in depth on the technical side, and also of course data structures, algorithms. Yeah, they are like 6. So our program is usually 8 to 10 weeks, and every week has a different focus, right? To get you to a balanced software engineer.
Okay, superb. Coming back to you then as a business, obviously it's still early days for you, but have you thought about like the future? Is there like now an end goal? Are you going to put sort of your business head on and look at building up the business or building up revenue and things like that? How much has that come into your mind at the moment?
So when I started this, my goal was going past 100K revenue, which was unattainable. We already achieved that. Of course I've been full time on this since December. Same for my brother, like full time on this, only this. Mm-hmm. So we are, our vision is that 2 years from now we will be the biggest coaching brand for software engineers in Europe, and probably the only one. I think that our focus is quite unique because we are not hiding behind a computer. We are directly talking to people and helping them out. I do look at CodeWithDragos as being an international player. We do have customers, Spain, Ireland, Greece, the Netherlands, Germany, a lot in London, a lot in the UK. And I think there's a lot of space, but it will be totally up to our effort and determination to push this. The market is there. The people are there. People need our help. It's just up to us how much we can, live up to our own expectations there and deliver on our promise.
Mm. So do you envision yourself like taking on like almost like employing coaches to join?
That's the plan. So first, of course, we want to figure out whether with all the pandemic stuff, whether we're going to still centralize around Berlin or, build like a decentralized team. But of course, the point is to, go past the millions in terms of revenue. That's why I left my software engineering job and went through all the pains of starting a business, right?
When do you want to pass that million? revenue mark? You must have thought about it.
It's up to our customers. So whatever we make, our customers have to make 10 times that. I guess it will come. We just need to focus on delivering the best service we can. If the engineers we're training get results and really build their careers, they have to. I think that will automatically happen. To be honest, I don't know. I don't have a set time frame. I think the focus is always the customer should be helping our mentees succeed. If we manage that, and if we manage to bring something to the software engineering sector, then I think money and whatever comes will come by itself.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I was reading something the other day, and when I, for example, you may have found this as well, when I started the business, obviously you're so focused on the product, the service you're selling, the processes, the branding, everything like that. Obviously you're trying to make money, but the other stuff comes first. And the revenue just comes if you focus on these key fundamentals. The trap that people get into is they start making, a bit of revenue for a bit amount of time. And then they get so focused on keeping that number up, and they're focusing on like the end result, and then they forget about what actually got them there. And it's quite an easy trap, especially as a new business, to get into, to kind of, you almost forget the bad times very quickly once things turn good.
I think it's again staying focused as an entrepreneur and understanding that. I think, and my biggest lesson in business was, it's not about you. And I think at the beginning, it's, as you say, you're really self-centered, because people come into business to make money. People come into business to build something maybe, but come on, money, it's a motivator always. And I think you have to understand that that's a byproduct, that's a consequence of being able to add something to the marketplace, right? In our case, it's the same if you're a software engineer. Your salary, it's a consequence of how able you are to deliver value to the company. Yeah, in terms of writing good fucking software and helping the people around you, okay? And that's something that people just get lost. Whether you're an entrepreneur or a software engineer, you have to know, why am I here? Why am I here? How can I help the people around me, right? And as an entrepreneur, it's not about you. It's not about CodeWithDragos. It's about these people. They come to us. We make a promise. We gotta over-deliver on that promise, right? And we have to understand what can we bring to this software engineering world. Yeah, and trust me, like, problems are many, right? And that's what's exciting, right? To actually go into this market and help people out. And I think when the focus is that, everything else like revenue, or that's a consequence. That's a byproduct of doing things well. And it's the same with LinkedIn likes, right? You can focus on like validation and likes and ego on LinkedIn, or you can understand, hey, is this content useful? Is this bringing value? Even if it impacts, 60 people, are these 60 people getting something out of this? Because if not, they're not going to give you their time and attention back, right? Yeah. And they're not going to commit to you as a brand, right? So it's not about you, right? It's not about you. That's the biggest thing. Revenue, everything else that you want, it's a byproduct of doing things well and staying extremely focused on making our students successful.
Yeah. Could not agree more. Absolutely. Golden wisdom and advice. Interesting what you say about like the LinkedIn likes and stuff. If sometimes people like get annoyed if they got like 5 likes or a few hundred people viewed their post, but if 100 people walked into the room and you were speaking to them, you'd be pretty impressed. So people shouldn't get too caught up in it.
And also, who cares, right? You're here for the long run. You're gonna make a post, like 3 posts a week. You're not gonna, even like business. You're in business for the long term. That's why, control your spendings, stay close to your customers, etc. All the lessons from other entrepreneurs. But who cares? You're there to prefer, to get better. Next post is gonna be better. But focus on the process rather than. You need metrics and you need to calibrate for sure. But metrics are not the goal, right? Revenue is not the goal. The goal is to build something that actually helps people and that actually scales later on, right? So never forget what your place in the world is. It's the same in any kind of relationship, I guess. If you you have a partner, it's not about you. That's the big lesson in life.
Absolutely, a bit of life wisdom to finish.
And also as a software engineer, right? It's not about how much you know. It's about how much can you show them and can you bring to the table, right? All the API design, all this stuff that I told you is just tools for you to be more productive in your job, right? And get things done for the company.
Absolutely. Well, we will finish up there, I know you are super busy, but wow, that was so valuable for me. I've basically just spent an hour just picking your brains. It's been super helpful, and hopefully to any kind of aspiring software engineers or even just people in business who wanted to give it a listen. I think what you've built in such a short space of time, and the branding and the messaging is very impressive. And to be honest, I think if you just keep doing what you're doing, you'll hit those goals, and you'll be in a holiday home in the Maldives in no time, or whatever your tastes are.
I like Berlin. For me, if
Holiday home in Berlin.
if we get to impact 1,000 people, because and that's something that I didn't mention here. I was when I had to go from like mid-level to senior, I was really hopeless, and I remember job hopping, and I see people repeating those mistakes again and again, where just they get frustrated with the employer, they go and they grab the first thing in the market. Then they complain that the recruiters are like, I don't understand. Also on LinkedIn, there is a movement against recruiters, and everybody was kind of seeing some mistakes in the job offers, or recruiters sending sometimes mass messaging. And I think there is that's really the bad mindset. People are just trying to get your job. They're trying to get people in touch with the right companies. If you don't like to get a call with them, you shouldn't. But really keep an open mindset, and they are your best friend, because they, someone like you goes around, talks with companies, and knows the market. And that's someone that you want to have on your side if you want to really, go fighter. And also this diva mindset, or, I'm just special because they come to me and I know how to code. That's completely immature, and I think it has no space. And, I hope also CodeWithDragos changes a bit the mindset in that way, and makes people understand, hey, you're a professional. They're just trying to help you. Of course, they're trying to help themselves and help the company, but, just help them out and etc. and build relationships with them. That's another thing that I think that the community got a bit wrong, right? And we've seen it all again on LinkedIn. And I was like, I was about to put a post like, stop bashing recruiters. They're just trying to give you a job, right? The enemy is inside you, right? Okay. And that's why I think, also in your company and in your case, just keep on going, and keep on, people need to get in touch with the right companies, where they can make an impact. And just keep on going, regardless of the bad name or whatever that means. People that are annoyed, they wouldn't be a great fit for the companies either, right? If they have that attitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a turn off. I mean, if I message someone and then they come back to me like, I got one the other day when it was like, I'm potentially interested, but here's a list of my demands. I don't work with third-party recruiters. I don't do coding challenges. I want the first 3 months fully remote. Salary's this, and I'm just like, I just don't want to work with you. Like, you sound like an absolute nightmare.
Yes, and I think that's a good part with boot camps and everything, because with more people getting into the industry, some people have to get down the horse. I don't know if you see this in the UK, but stop the train, get down on the horse, and let's speak on the same level. I also get that, because I speak to a lot of software engineers. They don't even read a profile. It's like, hey, this is what I want, and I think that's not a healthy way to go around life. And I don't think these people are kicking it, right? The software engineers that I know, they are kicking it. They are focused on, they have good relationship with the market. They know, these are the technologies that companies need. These are the recruiters that can, help me get farther, and they do keep relationships with them. Yeah. And I think that's a much better way to succeed than, playing the diva and playing the whatever, not the diva or the macho, whatever, just to be inclusive, like call it whatever you want. But just be coming from a place of arrogance and exuberance just because you know how to code, which is that it's just a freaking skill that around 20 million people or 24 on the planet know. So you're not special.
Yeah. There's a few people who need to hear that, to be honest, that I message.
I think a bunch of them. I think like half of the ecosystem. But we are getting there. We are moving in the right direction.
Absolutely, and CodeWithDragos is playing its part in that, which is brilliant.
I'm sure we will.
Absolutely. Well, we'll wrap up there, because I know you're busy, and I know there's people that you need to speak to as well. So, but thank you so much for your time. It was super valuable for me, and for any software engineers listening who wanted to level up in their career, definitely get in touch with Dragos. And also, if you're in business or trying to build a brand, then hopefully this has really helped you as well.
Yeah, just go on our website, and if you're really like serious about it and you want a second opinion on how you want to move forward, you can sign up for a consultation call with me, and from there we can see if there's a fit and you want to join this. And Alex, thank you so much for the opportunity. Keep up the good work. It's nice to see you after a year. It's been a while, and here we are, still in software, still kicking it. And I hope this this more favorable. I'm sure this market now it's much better. Keep on building the business always with the customer in mind, and I have no doubt in your success.
Thank you so much, and I have absolutely no doubt in yours too. Thank you so much for listening to the Building Our World podcast. I really hope you got some great value from it and enjoyed the conversation. If you are new to the series, then I do encourage you to take a look at the back catalogue. I've got some conversations with some of the brightest and best in Berlin tech. And if you want to stay up to date with future episodes, then please do hit that subscribe button and that follow button. It really helps me try and gain some traction with this series. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. And until next time, goodbye.